Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, and I wanted to talk to you guys about Mike Tyson. He is one of the greatest heavyweight boxing champions of the world, who definitely is also a symbol of resilience. As many of you know, at 58 years old, mind you, with a knee brace, he fought against a 27-year-old man named Jake Paul. He held his ground with this guy for 8 intense rounds. In my opinion, even though they say Jake Paul won, I feel Mike won. And it's not necessarily because I'm a New Yorker, even though, yes, I stand for New York all day, every day, no matter where I live, no matter where I go. But there is a significant age difference between 58 and 27. Okay. This guy, I do feel that the fight was staged, just like a lot of people that I've spoken to. I didn't watch the fight. I just saw like little, clips here and there. I kind of felt like it was exploitative. The whole idea of a 58-year-old going up against a 27-year-old, it bothered me. I didn't like it. But when I found out that Jake Paul, it was his dream to fight Mike Tyson, and he's a YouTuber, I said, okay, yeah, this ain't gonna be real. This was a waste of time. But yeah, I know Mike won. If this was a real fight, Mike would have done a little bit more. But you have to give it up for the fact that he did 8 intense rounds with this guy anyway. And Mr. Paul is not necessarily, he's a pretty thick dude, but nah. Mike Tyson is from do or die Bed-Stuy. Well, really originally from Fort Greene, but he lived in do or die Bed-Stuy. For you to even make it and live in this life this long, coming from that neighborhood, that's legacy in and of itself. That's something to be said by itself. So I wanted to go over with you lessons that he learned, that we all can learn, and let's look at more or less his real estate holdings, what he's owned, what he's lost throughout his particular life, that I think will help us all to grow. Okay, let's start. And by the way, I'm going to do something a little bit different because it is a bit much. Okay, I am going to be going over what I see in this article from Big League Sports, and it's written by Oluseyi Foloronso. I don't know if I'm saying it right, his name correctly. Okay. But I thought he did a pretty good job as far as listing all of the different homes that Mike Tyson owned and just put it into one area. And then I'm just going to also add a little bit extra, since I'm almost the same age as Mike. I'm 53. Okay, the person that wrote this article, I can see that he is not anywhere near his 50s. He wasn't born probably when Mike had his first championship. So here we go. All right. So let's start off with the first mansion in Ohio. All right. He bought this back in 1989. It was a 5-bedroom mansion that had 5 bathrooms, a full-size pool, a basketball court, 4 tiger cages, dining room, living room, the works. However, Mike was forced to sell this house back in 1999 for $1.3 million. The reason why that is because at that particular time, he was convicted of rape, and he was sentenced to serve 6 years in prison. You see, here's the thing. When a person goes to jail, that doesn't always mean that their property is seized or anything like that. When you go to jail, you're still, if you have a home and there's any debt on it, like mortgage or anything like that, you still have to pay that mortgage. And you still have to pay those taxes. When you're in jail, not making any money, that's not the easiest thing to do. So in this particular case, I think it was smart of him to sell the property. Okay. Now, the property was bought by a man that was into infomercials. But later on, that man apparently also lost the house because there was another investor who paid $50,000 in back taxes for the place and donated the property to the Living Word Sanctuary Church. Okay, so yeah, taxes are number one. You have to pay in most states. Nothing beats taxes. It doesn't matter if you pay the mortgage on time or anything else. If you don't pay those taxes, the government will come and take your property. Okay, and when they take it, they put it up for sale at a tax auction. You bid on it, which is obviously what this investor did. And then after you bid on it, you do whatever it is that you want to do to it. Okay, and in this case, it became a church. And listen, guys, this was a party house. So, yeah. So anyway, moving on, I'm going to go over to the Farmington, Connecticut mansion. This is the one that I really remember. It was 52 rooms. It was huge, 50,000 square feet of land, 21 bedrooms, 25 bathrooms, an indoor pool, hot tub, indoor and outdoor basketball court, multiple game rooms, a nightclub, and a recording studio. However, he lost this house too. Why? He had to declare bankruptcy. And what I remember about this particular one is that he really did spend his money recklessly, especially they mainly focused, the news mainly focused on the fact that he had these lions and tigers and what have you, and, you know, buying food for them is alone was expensive, is more than most people make in a year. But you know what? I know a little bit better. I know that there was a lot more than him when it comes to reckless spending. And the reason why I know is because he came to the African American Day Parade in Harlem. And I remember him having a whole slew of people around him. And I was like, yeah. And back then I didn't really care for him because, you know, the rape thing kind of bothered me. But I knew that when people have this huge entourage, they think all of them are their friends. They think all of them are behind them, and they're not. And I know that some of them are moochers, and they were mooching off of him. I also know, and I remember and recall him mentioning that he said he felt it, but I know some of the promoters were also predators, and managers were also taking money from him and taking advantage of him, because let's face it, he didn't exactly have business knowledge. He didn't exactly go to college, guys. Not that you have to go to college, to be honest with you, because you could go to college and still mess up in business, but or have no business knowledge at all. But I know that being that he was so young, because remember, I think they said he was the youngest heavyweight ever. So that means that he got that money quick. He got that money early. And a lot of times when you're like that, and then you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the discipline when it comes to how you spend that money. on top of everything else. Now, the other thing too that I do know, that particular house, 50 Cent eventually was the one that bought it for $4.4 million. And 50 Cent also ran into some issues with the property as well, because the property eventually lost its value. The maintenance costs for this property was a whopping $50,000 per month. And the property was put up for sale later on for $18.5 million. Remember, see, a lot of times when we think about buying a house, we think about the cost, how much is the house, but we don't think about the maintenance cost, how much it is to take care of it. One of the best ways to find out how much a house is, how much it's going to cost you to take care of it, to mow the lawn, cut down the trees, heat up the property, things like that, is to talk to your neighbor, or your potential neighbor, rather. So when you're looking at houses, don't just go and look at the house and say, oh, I like the house. Oh, I like the neighborhood. Ring the doorbell of the person that's going to live next door to you, on both sides and across the street, and find out from them, how long have they been living there? How much do they pay for gas? How much do they pay for water? Do your research. Don't trust the realtor, because some of these realtors, they really just out to get a buck, and they're not going to tell you everything. They're going to leave certain things out because they want that money. All right. So next, anyway, let's move on to the next house. This one is in Maryland. Okay, this was a 19,000 square foot house that he bought with his ex-wife, Monica Turner. The fact that I said ex-wife, you already know. It's a 7-bedroom, 11-bathroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking a golf course. They had a piano room, a sauna, a sports court, a large gym, swimming pool, etc., etc., etc. After the divorce, Monica sold it for $4.6 million. All right, let's be honest here. Most of the time when people get a divorce, not always, because times are changing, but a lot of times it goes to the wife and not the husband. Okay, now, a lot of things could have changed depending on what the prenuptial and the postnuptial agreement was. I don't have that information readily at hand, so I'm going to move on to the next house that he had, and this house was in Las Vegas, Nevada. This particular house did have an 18-hole golf club, some private parks, an infinity pool, 2 spas, a waterfall, patio, barbecue area, a bar area, pool, and bath. This house was actually featured in a movie called The Hangover. All right, so that means that he was paid nicely for this particular property. I do have a video going back where I talk about how you can make your home a star. Okay, so just because, and a lot of people think, oh, you can't make any money off of a single family home. This is a single family home. It's a mansion, yes, but it's a single family home. But believe it or not, not all movies or TV shows look for mansions. For example, The King of Queens is not done in a mansion. The King of Queens is shot in Queens, New York, in a 1-family home. Okay? The owners live in it only part of the year. The other part of the year, the movie studios pay for them to live in a hotel. That's how it's done here. I don't know how it would be done where you live, but I know that that's how it's done here. And on top of them paying for a hotel for them to stay, they still give those people $100,000 to use their house for the TV show. How's that for a side gig? Okay, and then now lastly, the last house that he still lives in is in Las Vegas, but guess what? It's just down the street. It's not too far away from where he is. It has where he was from the other house. It has 6 bedrooms, 7 bathroom, Grandmaster Suites, a media room, a wine cellar, living room, dining hall, outdoor swimming pool. It doesn't seem to be as extravagant as the other homes, but it is, in my eyes, it is a nice looking home that he has bought. So, what can we learn from all of this? There's so many lessons, right? And many of them I've actually already done some videos on. But the resilience of Mike Tyson, his bounce back is definitely incredible. It's definitely something to think about because, some people, if they were to go through some of the negative things that he went through, they would have given up. They might say, oh, I'm never going to own a house again, right? No, he kept on going and going and going. He kept on buying and buying and buying despite everything that's happened, despite the bankruptcy, the tax liens, being arrested, serving time, getting a divorce, all of these things. He kept going. He kept going. He didn't give up. So guys, I think that is the lesson. That is the legacy, and somebody needs to send him a memo when they ask him about legacy. They need to send him a memo to say, hey, your legacy is that your bounce back is great, and that no matter what you go through, you can always, if life knocks you down, you can always get up and try again. And also, another thing, getting back to the boxing situation. Okay, fine. You want to say that Mr. Paul won? Okay, great. Mr. Paul did get 40 million. Mike only got 20 million. 20 million is not something to sneeze at, people. Okay, that's number one. But then I recently also heard that Mike, because of what he wore during the whole process of the fight, that he is now getting some sort of deal where he's going to be, I believe, advertising underwear and things of that nature. So, guys, that's pretty much all I have to share with you. Please feel free to drop down in the comments below and let me know how you feel about all of these things. And don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe. All right, until next time, have a good night.